something on your mind, you can call in, you can hit a line. She the realest, ooh, she the realest. You can tap in, I will always get a business to empower you so that you can do every and anything that you want to. Kicking it with Coach L.A. It's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the Urban Eat, just call in. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. Coach La 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 La.
Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Coach La La La. How y'all doing? On this? Oh, it's starting to get chilly here in Massachusetts. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in from iHeartRadio, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Oh my goodness, y'all. Let me tell you something. It has been a week in that it's been a lot going on. I have literally done an event every day since Thursday. So it has really been a doozy. I'm exhausted. I have not been tired in a long time like this, but I am. But I could not miss my show. Had to make sure I came and got on the virtual couch with everybody. So today I did a 5K. Shout out to everybody at the YMCA in East Boston. They did a Boo Boston walk. All the parents and the kids were out there with their costumes on. And it was really nice to see. I did that with my family. Shout out to my nephew, my uncle, my nephew's uncle, my brother, my sister-in-law. So it was a great day. And then yesterday I did the R&B mixer with Soul Blanc Music, Ray Royale, J.O. City, and James Lambert III. And I tell you, it was an amazing event. Shout out to all of the panelists and everybody who came and blessed us with their presence. It was really wonderful to see the city come out and enjoy a wonderful day and a wonderful time. You know, it really is interesting when you sit and you think about relationships and the intersection of them. And they say that, you know, the quality of our relationships have a direct impact on us managing and having improved in a high quality mental health. So our relationships are so important. And today we're going to be talking about reinventing ourselves, right? And what it's like to get bounce back magic. And I'm going to have Vick Breedy come. She's going to be joining us shortly. She's actually traveling from New York. So she's on the train, The Life of an Entrepreneur. But season 8 has been all about debunking the myths about mental health. And I said a couple of episodes ago that everybody is navigating their mental health. It's not something that we should separate from our physical health. And if we all were to think about that, maybe we'd be a little kinder, a little nicer to each other. It's a lot of stigma around mental health, right? And one of the questions we had on the panel last night was, is it a red or a green flag to date someone that has a known mental health issue? And one of the things that I shared was, I don't think that it's a yellow flag. And it also depends on how well the person is taking care of themselves. So we are all managing our mental health. And as we get ready to embark on the holidays, it's going to be a challenging time for our friends, our loved ones. So let's just, let's extend some grace. A lot of times this is a trigger for people. They're grieving people who are no longer here. So the holidays can be really tough. Shout out to Java with Jimmy. I will be on with him tomorrow for Mental Health Mondays, and we'll be talking about seasonal affective disorder, seasonal depression, pretty much is what it is, and just, the holiday blues, navigating the holidays. So I hope you guys will tune in for that tomorrow. Looking forward to talking to Java. But today has definitely been a doozy, and also, almost forgot, shout out to Puff and Process, to Conchetta and Saida, who joined me today to talk about sisterhood. And boy, was it a in-depth, vulnerable conversation about connecting with your sisters and the importance of sisterhood, and where those wounds come from. If you've ever said, I don't really mess with females, or I don't have any female friends, and how those early interactions with your first caregivers, your mothers, your aunties, can really shape you in terms of how you see your femininity, and trust issues you may have with women. So we're really trying to figure out, how can we rebuild and reconnect some of the relationships that have been disrupted, ruptured due to trust issues and sister code. We also talked about that. So when Vick Breedy comes on, we'll talk a little bit about the sister code, and do we all have the same sister code? So I thought about that, but we're going to tie that all into season 8. This part 3 is all about reinventing yourself. And we've been talking about leadership, we've been talking about legacy, and we've been talking about liberation and born to lead. When I was studying for my MBA, one of the things that we discussed was the concept of being born a leader versus cultivated or trained to be a leader. And I've learned over the years that anyone can be a leader, right? Certain qualities, characters may make it a little easier for you to step into leadership. But anyone can be a leader if they so desire, with the proper training and opportunities. You can step into leadership. And so how does that play into reinventing yourself? When life throws you lemons and you have to make lemonade, how do you reinvent? How do you overcome trials and tribulations that life can throw your way? So one of the things that Vick Breedy does is she remixes adversity. And I think that's pretty cool as being an author. One of her first books was a manifestation out of her divorce. So we'll learn more about that. But then she went on to create the Selfish Women's Group, which we'll also talk a little bit about that. So she's always been the type of person that she creates whatever doesn't exist. She will create it herself. So tonight we'll be, exploring that with her a little bit more, and how she's been on herself. She's actually been on Conversations with Coach Law a couple of times. But the reason why she's coming back today is we're getting ready to do a special segment or installment of the Selfish Women's Group for the holidays. And I think it's just really challenging, especially right now when with all that's going on in the world. One of the things that came up was about people's SNAP benefits being, cut off. And, last 2 episodes ago, we talked about mothering the community. Like, what can we do to support each other during these times? So the holidays are going to be challenging for a lot of people this year, especially with the changes in our government. The government shut down, SNAP benefits being shut down right before Thanksgiving. So a lot of people are going to be going through it. So we are going to be doing the Selfish Women's Group. Mattapan is also taking donations. The Free People Store by Darrell over there in Blue Hill, on Blue Hill Avenue, is has been feeding the community for a very long time. So just tap in, man. Tap in and find a way to serve. One of my good friends, shout out to Wendell, was telling me how he serves and donates his time to serve those that are having housing inequities, at a soup kitchen. So a lot of people are finding ways to give back and to serve during these holiday months. So yeah, it's just so much going on. My heart has been really heavy, and thinking about those that are in need. And I wish I could just quickly become a millionaire so that I could just, invest in more things myself. But one step at a time, one conversation at a time, and one person at a time. If you can help one person, I think that's a good place to start. You may not be able to save everybody, but if you can do good yourself and help at least one person, I think that's a good place to start. So you guys also know that it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So last week we talked to a young lady, Artis, and she told us her story. She has a fashion show that's coming up. Hopefully you guys will be able to support her. So we are talking about the rebirth. We're talking about reinventing ourselves and reclaiming our voice, our value, and of course, your time. I am super excited to talk to Vick Breedy about her background because she's an author. She is an entrepreneur. She's also a self-care advocate. And her mission is to support and inspire and encourage people to tap into their bounce back magic. So tonight's conversation is all about how do you do that, right? Like, sounds easier said than done. When you've been going through a lot of different things in life, especially if you have ever experienced domestic violence, it's kind of hard sometimes getting back, finding yourself again after that. Speaking from experience, it was tough, way before I became a therapist. I was just a Black woman, a mom, so all of the things that have happened in my life, I often ask myself why. Didn't know it was leading me to become a therapist. I didn't know that the trials and tribulation that I was going through was going to really help me develop and sharpen my empathy, and understanding the different things that other people can go through. And I think that's a great quality for a therapist to have. So she has faced a lot of adversity in her life, and I hope she talks about that, but the loss of her grandfather, her grandmother, going through a divorce, all some of the things that have inspired her books. So she writes books, she has journals, she has apparel, and she also does self-care groups, not only for men, but also for women. So she's going to be coming soon. Like I told you guys, she is traveling on the train and getting herself situated to come and talk to us while she's still commuting. And she is here. I see her in the backstage. And she is traveling from New York. So I'm excited that she was able to find time and join me on the virtual couch. So most of you may know her. She has officially registered and trademarked her apparel brand, which is called Genetically Resilient, to honor those who have gone through adversity and have bounced back. She has also hosted several galas, which I have hosted as well. I was her host, and she celebrates and recognizes those in the community who have overcome adversity. One of the things I love that she says is that she remixes adversity. So I am going to let her come on the stage because she is here. Let's see if I can bring her. But before I do that, I'm actually going to play her video. Let me do that, and then I'm going to bring her on stage.
Intersectionally paying the cost, socioeconomically forced to be the boss. I'm talking about Black women, your mamas, nanas, sisters, and aunts. Enter their home and they always got something good cooking in their pot. They make anything taste better. Black woman equivalent to go-getter. Keeping the faith in secrets while they silently suffer in pain. Feeling guilty, saying no, choked by the cross on their neck, held by a rope chain. Neglecting self-care and doing the most. Making a way out of no way, world's best host. A Mary J lyric at the tip of their tongue. They've gone through some shit, but that melanin got them looking real young. Truth is, they're feeling older than they are. Accomplishments stacking, steady raising the bar. On autopilot so it looks effortless. Listen when I tell you, black women are stressed. They try to relax, they went as far as their hair. Fibroids, alopecia, cancer-causing agents, it's not fair. Doctors not believing that something's wrong. Deja vu when we feel like we don't belong. Government regulating our bodies and births. Health outcomes different for black women, statistically worse. Redefining femininity or waiting for permission to drop our guards. Other women have no idea. Being a black woman is hard. We want Sojourner Truth's question answered. Ain't I a woman? Society expecting us to be super, but not human. Help me, listen to me, see me, love me, protect me. A few things on my list. Because black women tend to suffer from strong black womanitis.
This that strong black womanitis. This that strong black womanitis. Hey, this that strong black womanitis. I'm just a black woman thinking, damn, what I gotta do? Get it all up out of you, emotions and the trauma to nurture. Goddess, gotta stop being so modest. All the different flavors, so I'm feeling like the hottest. Got them all sipping out the palm of my hand. Got that bounce back magic, giving all of that.
All right, y'all. So without further ado, I want to bring my sister friend, Vick Breedy. Welcome to the virtual couch.
Hey, hello.
How you doing, sis? Thank you for taking time to come and hang out with me. I know you are traveling,
I am.
moving and shaking, but you look good. You sound good.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So you've been up to a lot, you know. You've been doing a lot. You've been writing a lot. And I remember when we first started, you know, Team Bitter was your way of remixing the name Bitter and a way of a marketing strategy that I think you were very innovative about at the time.
Thank
So
you.
I want to know, what do you want the people to know about who you are beyond the accolades, the author, the entrepreneur, the spoken word artist that now has 2 albums out there, right? Like that's new. That was something when you came last time you hadn't done. Who is Vick Breedy beyond all of that? What's something that they would be surprised to know about you?
Oh, surprised to know about me. Let's see. I'm picky with my food. I'm picky with my people. I'm an introvert, but I'm not shy.
Yeah. I always say that, you know, the introverts are not necessarily shy people. And sometimes I think that's the name that you sort of will wrap around somebody who just is not constantly in someone, you know, socially out there. They are not the first one to talk, but if you talk to them, they'll talk back. They're not shy. They just, you know, are not an extrovert, right? So I think that's really cool that you separate the two. Now, one of the reasons why tonight I brought you on, you are the queen of reinventing, bounce back magic, creating opportunities or creating ways to be able to remix adversity. That's something that you have always, you know, coined as your thing, right?
Yeah.
Even in defining and naming strong black womanitis, right? You've given us language that we didn't really even know. Like if the doctors didn't want to give us a diagnosis, you gave us one. Be like, wait a minute, no, I got strong black womanitis. That's what it is. I'm just making a way out of no way. I'm doing the most. I'm neglecting my self-care. Yeah. So how can you help me with that? So what do you think the turning point, you know, was for you that really started your writing journey? And when you said to yourself, you know what, this is one of my toughest seasons. And that was and what was the defining moment where you realized, you know what, I need to reinvent myself?
So the reinventing, I didn't know that I was reinventing when I was reinventing. You know, when I picked the pen name Vick Breedy, I picked it because I still wanted a family name, but I also wanted to have some anonymity, right? You
Hmm.
know, because I still have a job, a regular job. So I think at the point when I began to decide to publish my first book, Bitter, and decided to take on a pen name, when I made that decision, that was the turning point.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are struggling with that. Like, how do I go from what people have known me for, or even what I just went through, and make that pivot, right? And make that shift without feeling as if, I don't want to say that they're being fake, but like that they're not staying true maybe to um themselves, because sometimes you have to do a whole 180 degree, what you knew, what you used to do, how you used to show up, like, and people are like, you different. And I would hope so, right? Like, you don't act the same, or what I mean, you're not doing the same things, you're not hanging in the same places. For a lot of people, maybe they were, drinking and hanging out and partying, and all of a sudden it's like, I don't want to do any of those things. And
Right.
people may think, you're not being true to yourself when you make these pivots. Have you ever?
Those are young people.
Oh, let's talk about it. Okay. All right. So tell me
And
more.
you
Why?
can be young in age and young in wisdom.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So
agree. I agree with that. But I think, when you say young in age, are you more speaking to emotional maturity?
I forgot who I was speaking with.
I just forgot. That's one of her poems too. I
I
forgot what
forgot what joy
joy
feels
sounds
like.
like. I forgot. Yeah. But I'm curious,
uh,
for those that don't know, right? But that don't know, like, what do you mean that's for young people? Because like you said, it's not just about age.
yeah, no, just, as you are blessed to be on this earth each year, each year you gain a year, you gain experience. And I feel like, there are a lot of young people who may not have, gone through the things that, somebody who has a couple of decades over them have gone through. And so, the more seasoned people, seasoned in life, right?
Mhm.
They have experience to draw from.
Right.
And so, and you can recognize young persons talk and like I said, and young with wisdom too.
Ooh, I think this is a good one because, like you said, it's not about age. And
Uh,
some people been around the block, they didn't travel the sun a few times, but they still don't necessarily, they're not learning. It seems like they're not growing, right? Like they're stuck, right?
yep,
And so many people fear change, right? Until they're forced into it.
right.
And we talk a lot on this show about bounce back magic and betting on self, which I think is you say bounce back, I say bet on self, but in the same token, we telling you to do the same thing, right? Do you think do you think that the pivot is born from pain, purpose, or both?
Both.
Yeah.
Definitely both. Pain and you find out that it's purpose after the pain.
Let's talk. Tell me about that. Well, yeah, tell me about that, and then I got something. In what I'm thinking about is your first book, when you put it out there, and knowing why you did, but yeah, tell me
Oh
about
yeah, you go through the pain, and in that moment you're not able to see. You're only able to feel. I feel like in that moment, and you're just trying to get through. So being able to recognize that it might be part of the purpose. Sometimes you're not there emotionally to even recognize that.
that.
So, all your energy is going towards getting through it.
Right. So we had talked about, Bitter, the first book, right, was
Hmm.
a reflection of your emotions. And recently I've been talking a lot to people. talking to a lot of people and my clients about the difference between emotions and feelings, and they're not the same thing. And I thought about you and that you identified different emotions, and that kind of was the birth of the different characters. I mean, are you familiar with that? I know a lot of people are like, what are you talking about, coach? I don't know. What do you mean emotions and feelings are different? Do you know, before I go into it further, are you familiar with it, that they're different?
Am I familiar with what is different?
Emotions and feelings. Do you think they're the same?
Oh, no, help me. Help me to
Okay.
break it down for me.
I'm about to break it down. I'm about to break it down. So emotions are data, right? So they're like, think about if you're hungry or if you need to use the restroom, right? But they
Okay.
can lead you astray, right? And if you just react to them, you could be going down one of those cognitive dissonance or cognitive distortion roads because you don't really have receipts. You just felt it, right? Like sometimes we're feeling vibes, but we don't really have all the evidence yet. Your
Okay.
feelings are actually your interpretation of that emotion. So emotion is an automatic thing. You really don't have any control over what that is. So there's 6 of them. Um, I don't know if you can guess what one of them is because it's a popular one that most of us identify.
Anger.
Yes. Anger, happiness, sadness, surprise, fear, disgust, and did I say sadness already? I did.
No, it sounds like I know my son would be disappointed that I didn't know him all because we done watched three Inside Out movies.
So yeah, so we got sadness,
Yeah.
we have happiness, we have
Okay.
anger, we have fear, surprise, and disgust,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And so those show up in your body very similar to, again, the sensation for hunger. If you're hungry, right, your body will nudge at you like you need to go eat, you need to go do something about this. So they're just really signals, right? Your emotions are signals, and it gives you information, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's telling you what to do. Your feelings then come in and sort of help you with navigating, okay, this is how I feel about it. So if you're angry, your feeling may feel, I feel hurt. So I'm angry, but I feel hurt. Right now, what are you going to do about feeling hurt? How do you want to process that? What's your next step? So when you were talking about your book, remember earlier on, you said that each one of the characters, and often your characters are
Yep.
connected to emotions.
Yes.
So I thought that was a really cool way to make meaning of negative emotions that don't feel good in your body, right?
Okay.
Um, so yeah. Any thoughts on
Okay.
that now that I broke it down for you?
Mhm. Well, my strongest emotion for the book one was bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was able to use a character to act out and to demonstrate feeling
So
for me.
your feeling would have been bitter, but your
Yes.
emotions, I think, were a smorgasbord of all of those: surprise, disgust, fear,
Yeah. Okay.
anger. I think it was a little bit of everything. Like just knowing the book and talking to you more about it, I think you were experiencing at different intervals all 6 of the emotions.
Yeah. You're probably right.
Right. But the ultimate feeling at the end of it was bitter.
Yes.
I feel bitter. I want my get back. I'm ready to I want my get back. You got to read the whole series to understand. So if you haven't yet um had an opportunity to read one of Vick Breedy's books, it is a page turner. It's better than a Tyler Perry movie, I would like to say. I think they're real juicy. Shout out to DJ Wade. Thanks for checking in. I appreciate you. So all those of you didn't know, ask somebody. You tuned into Conversations with Coach La 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 right here on the Urban Heat. And as I say every week with my chest, we are Boston's only Black-owned radio station on the iHeartRadio platform. And yes, we own that. We own it proudly. And tonight we're talking to Vick Breedy. We're talking about reinvention of yourself and how do you tap into your bounce back magic. And what our goal is tonight is to really give you a blueprint on how to do that. Now, Vic used writing, right? But then this girl, this woman, this sister, she started off with books. Next thing we was from books to what was after the books? The
Mini
apparel.
trailers. Y'all were doing mini trailers.
Well, I wasn't even going there. That's the marketing and promotion of the books. But the apparel, I think, came before the groups. Or was it the other way around? I can't remember.
No, it was around the same time though. But the first Selfish Women's group was in June of 2017, and I launched Genetically Resilient Apparel at the Black Market's grand opening in July of 2017.
Yeah. So I like talking to people like you because you are an everyday entrepreneur, right? And you have lines of business, right? Like you have went from one thing being an author to creating a whole conglomerate. There's multi-layers now to Vick Breedy, which is now the Vick Breedy brand. When we started off, it was just one novel and we were team better, and it's developed legs, that you got multiple different avenues that you're able to access, right? And I think those were several different pivots, several different sort of reinventions of the same thing, but it's really all under the same context of bounce back magic,
remixing adversity, all of it. They all
connected,
tie into my mission. Yes.
All tied into your mission. So when we think about bounce back magic, you often talk about, right, tapping into that. How do you personally define it? And how can women access that energy when life gets hard, in your opinion?
Well, bounce back magic is your ability to, like overcome adversity. It's your resilience muscle. And you can only tap into that if you've been centering self-care and prioritizing self-care.
Mm-hmm.
That's the foundation for a resilient outcome, self-care.
Mm-hmm. So recently, Kurt Faustin, shout out to Kurt Faustin, he had brought up that, if your self-care is not working, and he was, I don't know if you want to say he's an opponent to self-care. And I think maybe because people advocate for it so much and I don't truly understand that there's levels to this self-care thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think often we just at the maintenance level, go get your nails, your hair done, look pretty, go get your face beat. But that's like, that's maintenance, right? That's right. External. When we're talking about bounce back magic and we're talking about self-care, we're talking about emotional and psychological self-care and social self-care, which is community, which is something he brought up. Like, you need community care. Absolutely agree. I think people forget that when we talk about having a self-care plan, it needs to be comprehensive, right? It shouldn't be linear, right? It needs to kind of evolve with the ebbs and flows of your needs and your life, and of your life.
It looks different on everyone.
And it looks different for everyone. What I need for my self-care is not going to necessarily be the same thing that you need. So community care, you've done that in a couple of different ways by, one, developing your support groups, Selfish Women's Group, and there's also a group also for men as well that you do.
Yep.
That's tied to your book, Stereotyped.
Yes.
So one of the things that we we talk about is therapy, right? Like what therapy means to you. And, since I have a little really cool thing that I have now that you didn't see the last time you were here, I'm going to play it because, I'm pretty proud of it. There you go. So what does therapy mean to Vick Breedy? And you've gone through multiple dances, right? So what do you think therapy means to you now? Because I know part initially was creating these self-care groups was part of your
self-care.
Therapy.
Yes. Yep. It was therapeutic. Yep. Therapy would mean, if I was to put it in one word, at least the benefit would be self-awareness and being able to put a mirror up.
What's that mean?
You look for more? I'm like,
So wait,
You're like,
I was, you know, well, yes, and you were like freezing just a bit, so I didn't want to
oh, I'm
talk over you.
sorry.
I wasn't sure if you was
Okay.
glitching.
Okay.
So yeah, mirror up. So for me, I know I understand that. For all of the lovely listeners that are tuning in and they're like, what is she talking about? What does she mean mirror up? Let's break it down in layman's terms. What are we talking about when we talk about mirror up, right? Well, first thing that comes to mind for me is self-reflection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Self-awareness,
Yep.
accountability, right? Anything else that you can think of that would mean when we say, the mirror needs to come up.
No, just well, exactly what you said. It's a way to hold yourself accountable. And it's also a way to like see something that you don't even how could I say this? Sometimes when you're able to talk to someone else and they put the mirror up and they show you, it's not until you actually look, and I don't mean visually look, but I mean like it's not until you like sometimes you don't know that something that you're doing is like your self-care, like it's it's not going to help your self-care. And I'm at a loss for words here with that, but um
You could have
you
a
don't know it until you say it, and it's regular to you, right? So things that are regular that could be problematic, you know, if you're not in conversation with people, you're not sharing this part of either your life or, whatever's going on at that time, then it'll continue to be regular and nobody will know about it. Maybe it's not something that it doesn't have to be something that you're ashamed of. It could be just something that you don't talk about or think to talk about, whether it be with a family member or with, a friend or whoever. And then you bring it up. Say you bring it up to a therapist and they're like, hey, I see where there could be some adjustments.
So I think that's speaking to when you were, one of the things about strong Black womanitis is suffering in silence. That's what the first
Yes.
comes to mind for me is sometimes when we are experiencing emotions that are uncomfortable or negative, some of us shut down, right? And that shutdown is not necessarily something that we communicate to other people. We may stonewall. And when I say stonewall, like somebody may want to have a difficult conversation with you and you just literally don't say anything. So those that are in relationship, if you ever had a conversation with your significant other and you're talking to your significant other and they literally don't respond back. I know that sounds like, do people do that? Yes. They literally go mute and don't say anything. This can go on for days where the person just doesn't talk. It's like one word answers. It's fine, no, and you just can't really have a, a robust, comprehensive conversation about what the issue is. They can't name their emotion. They can't even express how they feel about something. So that can be problematic. On the one hand, everybody needs space, right? You need time to process. But
Hmm.
sometimes that behavior can be very disconnecting and off-putting, and you can actually push people away. And
Most definitely.
and then it just gets like sort of swept underneath the rug. So now you're ready to talk after days of stonewalling, and you don't want to bring up the topic. And if your partner's like, okay, so can we circle back to this, what we was talking about 3 days ago? What do we got to talk about that for? That was 2 days ago. Well, we actually never really got to a resolution. Here you go again. Here you go
Mm,
again. Everything's fine. We're like in a good place. And here you want to go bring that back up again, and then you stonewall again. All in an attempt to control not having to have a difficult conversation, right? So those behaviors, often somebody will be like, well, I'm not arguing. I didn't want to talk about it. Like, there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to be fixed. What's the point? But you're not actually communicating that to your partner and being able to sit down and communicate why you feel like it can't be resolved, or just, in general, just problem solving together. It's just, yeah, I'm not talking about that. And that's it. No questions asked. There's no more conversation. So those type of things can be off-putting. And when you were mentioning like that's for young people, a lot of people who are older lack emotional maturity, right? And the ability to
Mm-hmm.
sort of sit in discomfort and have those difficult conversations or even be corrected about something. So yeah, yeah, that's it's a tough one,
Yeah.
very tough. But for someone who has, navigated a marriage and gone through a divorce, I'm sure you have a lot of expertise on communication, and disconnecting habits um,
Yes.
and behaviors.
Yep.
So, because we've talked about that kind of stuff offline.
Mm-hmm.
So, question: resilience in real time.
Yep.
Resilience looks glamorous online, right? A lot of things has become sort of pop therapy culture, self-care, resilience. Trying to think of some toxic behavior. Like there's all these like buzzwords now that people throw around. Red flag, green flag, like this. It's just really people are more self-aware, but at the same time, they're not necessarily developing the capacity to deal with stuff. It's just I'm gonna protect my peace, which often means I'm not having the conversation because it makes me uncomfortable and I feel unsafe. In every difficult conversation, people, is not that you're unsafe. Just FYI, I know it doesn't feel good, but that doesn't mean you're unsafe. So, but what does it actually look like in the quiet moments? Like, I know we talk about resilience all the time, but when you're
What does
exhausted,
resilience look like?
and unsure,
Mm-hmm.
what does it look
Mm-hmm.
like real time? Like not the pretty side of it, because people
Yeah,
will be
there's
like,
no
"Yeah,
it.
I'm
I don't
resilient."
know what the pretty side is
Okay,
because
well, it comes
it's
off as confidence, protecting your
okay.
peace. I think advocating for yourself, speaking up, like
Okay.
all of that stuff. I think often is coming back after a relationship, jumping right into maybe another one,
Okay.
losing a job and going right out there getting another job. So you see
It's
somebody
that
bounce,
in between time.
right. You see people bouncing back, but do we really talk about what's happening in the quiet space as you're flexing that resilient muscle before you
Right.
see the prettier side of it that gets
Right.
posted on social media?
Okay.
Well,
So
that's
I
just
would
an example.
I would recommend that, if you are going through something, so that time, that in between time where you need to tap into your resilience. And it's usually a time when, it's that quote I say I put on the Bounce Back Magic Awards. It's when we feel our weakest that we must be our strongest.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, that is the time that I would say um, you really don't want to talk to people, but you you should find people who you can talk to. Like you got to pick safe people to talk to, and you need to have identified those people already.
Uh-huh.
Um,
When you say safe people, is that
yeah,
to say that these are people that won't challenge you or will not
no, no,
start
no, no,
conversation?
no.
So what you mean
People
by safe?
that'll keep your information private.
Ah,
You can't be vulnerable with everybody.
okay.
So you need
So
to.
privacy. So does there ever come a time? Because this is a tough one, right? So as a therapist, there's only two reasons really where I have to step out of breaking somebody's confidence, right? Like if you tell me you're gonna
Okay.
kill somebody or
Not
hurt
safe.
somebody,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a duty to warn. Or if you say you're gonna harm yourself, I have to, make sure I do an assessment and get you support if you tell me, which I tell you
Right.
this is. If you tell me you're doing something to your kids and a child or elderly persons, I have a responsibility to report that, right?
Mandated
But
reporter.
I usually the way I like to do it is that there's no surprises in that. Usually we can do it together because if you're telling me you need the way I receive it is that this is your cry for help, right?
Okay.
So often this idea of keeping things private, especially with this being Domestic Violence Awareness Month, is there ever a time where that holding that secret or holding that information is not a violation of privacy, but it's really for safety? It's really because it needs to be told.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes, but I'm not sure that I really meant that.
Well, I bring it,
I,
I bring it up just because they're, people are listening. Just out
yeah,
of
yeah, no, that's not
curiosity,
what I
right?
mean. Let me clarify what I'm saying. I'm saying you can't be vulnerable with everyone. So you need to be specific and particular, and you know, make sure that whoever it is that you're sharing your information with is somebody that you can trust. I'm not saying don't share your information. I'm saying be picky with who you share your information with.
So I got you. So it's like, don't be fire hosing people down, random folks telling them everything. So they say, how you doing? And you just tell them everything, right? Like,
Right.
I know for some people are like, well, don't ask people how they're doing if you don't really want to know. Okay,
Mm,
some truth to that, right? But
hmm.
at the same time, there has to be a level of discernment that, I'm at work. I can't tell them, yep, I'm going through a divorce and my son is doing this and my mama is like, and the person is like, you just dumped. They would say,
Right.
just emotionally took a bowel movement on someone else and they didn't even know they were going to get that was going to happen to them. Because
Right.
it's polite to say, how you been? How you doing? But again, if we don't talk like that all the time, you might not want to tell all of that to a random person. But someone who's your
Mhm.
people, do you
Right.
think, that due to shame and embarrassment that
Okay.
often we won't share it even if the person is safe because
Yeah.
we're just not ready to say it out loud.
Right. Yes, that can happen. I would say, hopefully you have somebody who you can be vulnerable with, right? Even if shame is something that might deter you. Um, sometimes that just takes time.
Yeah.
If I think back to like a divorce time, I would say I had to take my time and think about who was in my circle that I wanted to actually disclose that to, and how they would receive that, and
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm just thinking about that.
I think you make a good point. I think it was Sarah Jakes Roberts talked about sharing, right? And
Mhm.
she was saying you share stuff that you've actually healed from,
Mhm.
right? If you're still
Yes.
going through the process, then I think everything you're saying applies, right? Because you're still going through the process. You're still figuring out how you feel and what emotions are associated with it. And this is where I think often therapy comes into play. Um, Having a space where you can process all of these complex
Okay.
emotions because you're going through grief, right? Like, so one minute you might be like, I want the person back. I could have did better. I should have did this. I should have did that. Next minute you could be angry and wanting to go and pull a Jasmine Sullivan and break out the windows, right?
You're right.
So, you telling somebody all these things that doesn't have the training or the skill set for it. They may not know how to support you. Say you call up your friends, you're like, yeah, girl, he did X, Y, and Z, that dirty da da bop bop bop, right? Like from Waiting to Exhale, right? And next thing you know, your friends is like, let's go over there and tie him up and put some baby oil and beat him. And they're like egging you on. And next thing you know, y'all done got in the car, you about to go over there and beat him. So you gotta be careful because some people won't talk you off the ledge. They'll throw gasoline on it, and next thing you know, you be in caught a case. Be like, girl, I thought that's what you wanted to do. No, I didn't really want to do this. Why didn't you talk me out of this?
Mm-mm.
So yeah, it's an interesting thing when you're going through it, right?
Yep.
It can be a real dark place. So one of the things about we were talking about depression, right? And how it shows up, right? And how it can be temporary. But when you were like not getting out of bed, right? And you're not eating, you're not showering, you're not doing certain things. And you tell somebody or somebody notices it and they tell somebody, they're like, yeah, we got to go over there. I've seen people get mad about that. I even had a couple of shows ago, a young lady lost a friend because she showed up to her house when she was going through that and she felt like she had violated a boundary by not just giving her the time and the space,
Yeah,
because
she needed.
she didn't want to be bothered with nobody. And I could understand both sides, but it's like somebody's worried about you and you cut them off because they wanted to make sure you was good. And I still don't know how I feel about that. I guess, I was like, dag, and it hurt. The that came on the show. Why am I having a brain freeze? But she was like, yeah, I was shocked. She cut me off. She said, I asked you, to give me my space and you showed up to my house unannounced. And that was a violation. I can't rock with you no more.
Yeah, they might need to circle back.
Maybe, yeah. She might still be in her feels. She might still be angry. Maybe a little bit. Shout out to Steph. Thank you. She said she loves the topic and definitely needed this word. Everybody on Instagram, I appreciate y'all. Y'all are on here. Sandra, what's going on, Shotgun Sandy? Happy birthday to you, sis. You guys are tuned in to the Urban Heat, Boston's only Black-owned radio station on iHeartRadio. So shout out to everybody tuned in from iHeart, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch. Yes, baby, I'm on Twitch too. I'm trying to hit those young people. They looking for some aunties. I'm trying to give them that auntie big sister love. So I know all of the young people be on Twitch. My son put me on to that.
I've never even heard of Twitch.
Listen, that's what they be streaming. I'm still trying to build that platform, but shout out to everybody on YouTube too. YouTube be checking in, and of course all of our Urban Heat listeners that are checked in on Facebook on Urban Heat's page. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all share the live if you liking what we talking about. Comment. Let us know how you feel about reinventing yourself. How do you tap into your bounce back magic? All that good stuff. I got author Vick Breedy.
Yep, she's home.
She's finally home from traveling New York, right? We doing some unconventional shows recently. Follow her on www.vickbreedy.com so you can know all things Vick Breedy. And we have a Selfish Women's group coming up
November 23rd, 3 to 6.
23rd. I'm co-facilitating that along with Polemy DeVay Potter. And we're going to be talking about how to navigate the holidays. We're going to also talk to you about
celebrating.
We're going to be celebrating, but we're still going, give y'all some good stuff. So I had put it in the I don't know if it's going to let me edit it so I can redo it again, but I'm going to do it again. But it's coming all crazy. I thought it was going to look different, y'all. All right. So getting back into this, right? Reinvention in next chapters. Let's talk about that. You are author and you always writing, right? So let's think about this blueprint building. If we wanted to really lay out for folks how to have their bounce back magic blueprint, right? When you began designing your next chapter, which I know you say you didn't really think about it like this, but you was designing your next chapter, right? You always got something up your sleeve and it's usually connected to some kind of adversity. And she just come out. She's like a Mary J. Blige, man. I tell you, when she be going through stuff, that's when she do her best work. So tell me, what came first? What comes first? The vision, the action, or the belief?
The vision, the action, or the belief. What comes first? When I'm reinventing myself?
Yeah. So when you think about the blueprint building, right?
Yeah.
And you start thinking about designing your next chapter. And I know that's not how you looked at it, right? But that's what we're doing. Every time we wake up and we do stuff, right? We're writing our narrative, right? Or we're rewriting our narrative, right? Or we're remixing adversity, right?
Yeah.
Who do you think comes first? Vision, action, or belief?
I think vision and belief is actually like there at the same time. The action is like last. And the belief is tied to my confidence and it's also tied to my receipts. Like I've done stuff before and that gives me the confidence to take chances and do other things.
Mhm.
And, I'm all right with making mistakes. Those mistakes become cheat sheets,
Uh-huh.
right? To the next
That part.
move.
You're comfortable with making mistakes. Have you always been comfortable making mistakes?
Nah, nope,
So
nope.
how did you get comfortable doing that? Because I think that's what stops a lot of people from betting on themselves is that they don't want to lose and they don't want to fail.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Very, very.
But when you've seen yourself, take an L and then get through it, it makes, the next experience a lot less scary,
Mm,
and you got to tell yourself like, all right, you're gonna, it's gonna be rough. It is gonna be rough, like accept it's gonna be rough, but push through and you get to the other side and you
yeah,
usually feel better.
yeah.
Sometimes you look better.
I think I definitely I would say, I think back to when I was going through domestic violence and I was going through trying to navigate life and financial woes. I look I feel like I looked older then.
Mm,
Like I'm almost aging in reverse. When I see myself now compared to the pictures back then, it's like 180-degree.
mm,
It's like, wow, like you really do wear your stress. You really
yes.
do. It is heavy and you don't often see it until you look back at pictures and just like you can see
Yeah.
it in your eyes and everything else. You're just in a space, but you don't always see it.
Yeah.
You don't always see it. So let's talk about my favorite thing, right? Bet on self moments, right? Because I know you tired. So we're gonna try to wrap this up right at 11. I got 7 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So bet on self moments. Identity after the storm, right? After major change, many people feel lost, right? How do you rebuild your sense of identity? Not as who you were, but who you are becoming, right? So, bet on self moments for those that don't know and you're tuning in for the first time, right? My dad passed away. He always told me to bet on myself. When he passed away, I started using that as my mantra to help me through my own grief and just feeling like I was still connected to him. I'd be like, Lakeisha, you know what you need to do? You need to bet on yourself today. You need to tap in. You need to realize if you bet on you, you can never lose. And right. And that was also being open to my mistakes and understand all it was really doing is giving me a blueprint and giving me the script to know, okay, that didn't work last time. So we're not going to do that. How about we do this? Right. So if not now, then when? And if not who? If not me, then who? Moments. What's up your sleeve? Right. Past, present, future. Like what bet on self? Give me your bet on self moment. Where you at right now?
Mm,
What you betting on these
I'm at
days?
the crib. I'm at no.
What you betting on these days?
Oh, what I'm betting on now. Let's see. Um, so Vick Breedy and I'm a rap like all of me, not just the Vic Breedy me. Because we are one and the same, in case people don't know that. But taking a chance with changing employment, that was a big step for me because I was not really unhappy at my previous employment, but I was stuck, right? And stepping out of my comfort zone because I like to be comfortable when it comes to money,
Mm,
right? And if something's going to disrupt money, I'm slow to move. And that's also a reason why I stay at places a long time because I crave consistency.
mhm,
So recently, I am newly employed, so that was a bet on self moment, right? Outside of, doing my poetry and writing and selling apparel and the self-care groups.
mm,
As far as the Vic Breedy side of things, I am working with Pat the Creative of Chain Mail Media. And we are working on a new trailer for the book Bounce Back Magic. And I recently put out the poem, the poetry, the video that you played. That was recent, that was new. What else am I doing? I still want to do a movie. And it's
Yeah,
really
I
time for me
still
to stop talking about it and figure out how to, if it's not a movie, then let it be maybe a short film that can be picked up to be a movie with somebody who has deeper pockets than myself.
we
But
gotta
it's
talk.
really time.
Yeah,
It's
we keep
really
putting that
time.
on the atmosphere because I need to be in that movie as the therapist. I need to be need to, need to be in there
It's really
as the
time.
therapist, right?
Right.
So, we're gonna go ahead and jump into Coach's Corner. I think we can pull us off. We got like 3 minutes. If the legal disclaimer has to be played, I'll play it. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap this bad boy up because I
All
know
right.
I'm tired. We's a tired people.
Yeah, I was tired.
We tired. We tired. It's been a long day. Okay. So, Coach's Corner, right? This is our
Yep.
opportunity to really tell people what do we want to take away. Tonight's goal was really to give them a blueprint. At least 1 to 3 steps, right? Because we don't want to make this heavy lifting for y'all. Some of y'all just need one thing y'all can go do this week. And one of the things could be setting up a therapy appointment, setting up a coaching session or something like that. So, Coach's Corner, a moment to reflect. What do you want people to take away from this conversation? If you could give them one piece of nugget, guidance, advice to tap into their bounce back magic, what would it be?
Curate your life. You need more on that?
Okay.
You
I mean,
said, I say curate it
listen,
because,
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead because you're about to give me more.
Oh, no, I was just, saying, if you curate it, then that's automatically going to benefit your self-care.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. So, in layman's terms, for all those that don't understand, it's how do you every day save yourself? I talked about this one of my other episodes. I talked about the Miracle Morning. That's by Hal Elrod, and he came up with an acronym called SAVERS. How are you going to save yourself today? We often are looking for other people to save us, but how are you going to save yourself? I challenge each one of y'all to go look up the Miracle Morning. You can Google it, but the acronym SAVERS is about how you spend your morning. And the morning is one of the most difficult times for people. I'm not a morning person. You wake up, you're groggy. You don't really want to get about your day. And what that tells me is you're not excited about your life. You're not excited about what you got to do. You're probably doing everything out of obligation because you have to, but nothing really drives you or makes you excited. And what we know is entrepreneurship, especially, becomes liberation when it's rooted in healing. Leadership becomes legacy when it uplifts others. That doesn't mean you don't have to have a job because people like glamorize working for yourself.
mhm.
And somebody got to work, y'all. Like, so everybody want to be entrepreneurs and want to, own a business, and you don't want to work for nobody. Somebody's working for you. Hold on. Real quick.
Expect the unexpected. Unorthodox radio from Boston and beyond. Heat981fm.com and iHeartStation.
All right, that's the sign, right? That's usually the sign to let me know that I'm almost there. But we're gonna wrap this up real quick.
All right.
Everybody cannot and will not want to run a business, and that's okay. Let's stop shaming people for getting the 9 to 5. 9 to 5s fuel dreams and goals, right? It's just getting stuck in a rut that you have cognitive dissonance with your job. It pays for your lifestyle, people. They pay you your salary, and it's in exchange for time and labor. That's what it's all about, right? So if you have a business, you're going to have workers, right? So if all your workers come to work with the idea that they don't want to work because they don't want to work for somebody, they want, you stealing their dreams and goals. Like some of the things we say, I don't think we really, really listen to what we're saying because somebody got to work.
Yeah, need that health
Somebody got to
insurance.
work, right? Somebody has to work, right? Somebody has to work. So everybody who has a business, it got to hire people. Somebody is working. So anyway, my takeaway, in curating your life is how are you going to save yourself every day? Like, how are you going to wake up in the morning and realize your biggest investment is yourself? And betting on self is all about the bets you make on you. And that could be through this acronym SAVER. So the first thing you do is you're silent. That's the first S, is silence. That means you're not looking at your phone. You're not, first thing you do is answering text messages and putting all this stuff in, but you're taking a minute and you're going, what emotion am I tapping in this morning? How am I feeling when I woke up this morning? What's going on with me? Silence. The next one is affirmations. The A is all about how you talk to yourself. Are you your own best friend, your own biggest cheerleader? Do you wake up saying you suck? I don't want to do this day. Or you're going to have an awful day. Like, what are you saying? If you're starting your day off already with this stinking negative thinking, how can you possibly have a good day? The next thing is V, which is for visualization. How do you visualize your life? How are you visualizing your day going, right? After that, there is E, exercise. Move your body. That could be shadow boxing, some sit-ups, push-ups, run in place, turn on a song for 2 or 3 minutes and dance around. Don't matter to me. Just get up, move around, get that blood circulating. R is for reading, which you'll love this because you're an author. Read something. Read a page or two of something. If you don't want to read, do an audiobook. Turn on the audiobook while you exercise. So that way you can still kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And last is scribing. Once again, she's going to love that too because she's got a journal.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to take some notes. You're going to journal about your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. This helps your therapist if you're in therapy, if you're doing this on a consistent basis. What that does is before you engage with anybody else, you've engaged with yourself and you've given yourself some love and care, right? And ideally, you want to do that first thing in the morning. Wake up an hour earlier, just so you can be with yourself and give yourself the attention that you need. Try it, people. You'll be surprised how your mood and your disposition will change because the first thing that you're doing is saving yourself, and saving yourself mentally, emotionally, and psychologically, because you're starting off your day in a better place by taking care of you first. So that's what I hope. You can't do a business. You can't be self-employed if you have unhealthy habits, right? And I think that's really important. So any other final thoughts as we wrap this bad boy? Anything else you want to know?
Be selfish with self-care.
And join us on November 23rd.
Yes, 3 to 6 p.m.
And these are complimentary sessions. There's no charge for you people. We do a lot of giving back like this. I do a lot of groups where you don't have to pay. So if you are looking to connect with a therapist, I do Puff and Process and I do Selfish Women's Group, and there's no cost for these groups. So please tell a friend, come out. I have another group that's going to be starting soon, which is going to be super dope. It's the Bet on Self group that's going to be launching in November.
Okay.
I'm super excited about this.
Okay.
Back. It's been a minute since I did an installment of it. So I'm super excited about that. I have 2 clinicians currently on my team that are taking clients. I'm excited about that. And I got some other things in store too, to really try to give back and keep on providing opportunities for people to bet on themselves. So
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. You hear me?
Thank you.
Receive that.
Oh, I take it. And my next 5K is the turkey trot for all those that are looking for. It's a turkey trot. You can look it up. It's at Franklin Park. That's on Thanksgiving Day. So before I eat any food, I will be working out that morning. That will be my 6th 5K for 2025. I've done 5 of them. This will be my 6th one. I hope I said that right. Anyways, keep betting on yourself, people, because your healing has a ripple effect. It goes beyond your pain and it converts into purpose if you want it to. We can have meaningful coping strategies based on how we curate our life. Thank you, Vick, Breedy. Appreciate you, sis. You always got good nuggets. So I hope that everybody will definitely continue to tap in. And last but not least, legacy isn't just what you leave behind. It is what you're building while you're healing. Every time you choose to rise, you become someone else's blueprint. So see y'all next week for another episode of Conversations with Coach La right here on the virtual couch. Y'all know what to do. Follow the Urban Heat. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the morning cafe because they are always lit. Make sure you have something. And I will be on Java with Jimmy at 10 a.m. So make sure you also follow Java with Jimmy. Follow Vick Breedy at Vick
.com.
and also on Instagram is Vick Breedy.
Yes.
And you can follow therapist_coach LA on Instagram. And of course, you can follow Heat at Heat 98.1 FM. Make sure you subscribe to Conversations with Coach Live. We do have a Facebook group. And yeah, y'all have a great week. And shout out again to everybody who's tuned on Instagram, Facebook. I love it. Sonia, thank you for tuning in, Sonia. I appreciate you, DJ Wade. Oh my God, DL. I see you, DL. Thank you for tuning in. Miss Wanda, Steph. Appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all share this live and let somebody know about what we got going on. And I appreciate y'all. Keep betting on self. See y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.